transfusion of chocolate sauce.
It's the only way to keep blood sugar up through the night while I sleep. I mean, I tried gravy, but man, that's so much cholesterol. You know, I can't be living like that.
You got to change out the tubes a lot. Probably gets clogged up.
And it's a mess when you do it.
Hello, the Sonic City Council is now in session. Thank you once again for inviting us into your headphones, your car, your home, your mind, wherever you are listening to this podcast. We appreciate you. Davey Sipes, how are you today?
It smells like mutton in here.
Mutton? Wow,
Yeah.
What a specific cut of meat you picked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's been gently simmering in a slow cooker all day. And
Yeah.
I'm not blaming you. And I'm not...
I mean, I'm the only one in here, aside from Jimmy and Bob on the wall, so it kind of feels like you are a little bit.
Well, I'm also here, and I'm also made of meat. So I'm suspicious it's a potpourri.
A meat bag, as
meat
it
bag.
were. Yeah.
Hey, we're bringing it back. You're still meat bags.
Yeah.
We are too.
Yeah.
All right, you want to whack it?
I do.
He admitted it in front of you.
Oh, he set me up for that.
Man, I'm going to have such a tough time defending you in court.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Exhibit A, clearly.
This guy's a serial offender.
Yeah,
anyway,
apparently.
And a really good guy, by the way. I'm proud to defend him.
Oh, thanks.
In the halls of justice.
Yeah, thank you.
In the halls of justice. Okay.
Your Honor, my client pleads insanity. And then I go, wait, what? Yeah, trust me.
Yeah.
So, good to see you, as always.
As always.
How are you this fine day?
You know, it's hot.
It is.
Where we live, it's 110 outside,
Yeah,
or it was.
You can't tell by our wardrobe, but it is very hot outside.
No, we said, fuck you, son. We dress how we want.
Yeah. You are not going to make us look unclassy today?
Yeah, we're not going to dress like goddamn tourists with flip-flops and shit.
Yeah,
we're not going to crock this out just because you got us at 110.
Yeah, as Samuel L. Jackson would say, we're not going to be wearing any Hawaiian shirts today.
Ooh, Hawaiian shirts we will not be wearing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you remember that beat he hit in Pulp Fiction, that's that Hawaiian burger joint. Yeah, we're not wearing Hawaiian shirts. It's not Casual Friday.
You mean Big Kahuna Burger?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't got a tasty burger.
Yeah. As tasty as it is, no, it's not Casual Friday here. So we wanted to at least, I don't know, dress up slightly.
Yeah, you have sleeves all the way to your wrists.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a classy move if I'm not doing the T-shirt thing and my usual boots. So
yeah, clean up nice part. Oh, get the boots on camera though. The boots are pretty fly.
Yeah,
and they're really long.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my normal walking around shit.
I can fit like 2 of my feet in those boots on me.
Yeah,
I think so. I have small feet for a tall person.
Oh, well, fair enough.
And I'm very proud.
I was gonna say that's for the Patreon page coming soon. I don't know.
I guess
maybe.
So.
Yeah.
For the wiki feeds or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So
Internet, you guys are so tweaky.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
So we are gathered here today, as you might guess, to talk with a fellow artist and creative person.
We do that all the time.
But who might that be? Would there be, I don't know, any indicator around or any possible CDs or some? Oh, we do. Yeah.
Hello, what's this?
Yeah, we have Cleen in the studio, our first hip hop artist to make an appearance on Sonic City Council. Yeah. Cleen, for those who don't know, is a hip hop artist who's been based in the Antelope Valley for many, many years, but he has also been a part of the underground scene of hip hop in general. He's toured out of state before. He's done a lot of gigs in LA and worked with different producers from the high desert here and LA. So I would say a solid member and contributor to the underground hip hop scene, if I can say so myself.
You did by yourself say it.
I did. I definitely did.
You know I got the rubber stamp at the ready, so ching.
Yeah, there you go.
100%.
Yeah, so I'm excited to bring him in here and have him talk about his process and like as I've said before, always wanting to learn about things outside of my bubble, comfort zone, what have you. So yeah, just excited to actually talk to him. I've interviewed him for my column in the Antelope Valley Press, so it'd be nice to actually get him in here and talk to him at length about stuff.
That column Does that still occur weekly, this
Yes.
column that you produce?
Every Friday, sir.
Oh, huzzah!
Yes, it's quite splendid if you ask me.
I do hope to see it again this following week.
Oh, you shall, sir, you shall.
I love things in serial installments.
It's a delight to the senses, isn't it, my friend? Yeah. So, without further ado, I think he should be here shortly, so...
You told him to turn left at the donkeys. So
Yes.
yeah, that means he'll be here in like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yes. So, without further ado...
Clean.
All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, Cleen.
Should I have done that with you guys?
No. It's all right. It's all right. He does it with the slate, but it's more just like I never know how to get these things started, so it's more just like, all right, like we're gonna do it.
We can make that a tradition if you guys want.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right.
Well, it's sort of a hands in 3, 2, 1
We got
team.
the 3 of me over
All
here.
right. 3, 2, 1. All right. And we have our first hip hop artist on Sonic City Council today, and we are very excited to welcome Cleen in the studio. What's up, man? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You're someone that within our high desert music community, especially not just within hip hop, because you got your start sort of playing, hip hop shows, punk shows. You were branching out into all the different scenes out here, but you're somebody that has a pretty big name within the hip hop community and within the local music community out here. And so it's awesome to get you on the couch and to talk to you about your process and your songs. And yeah, I'm stoked to have you here, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So Davey on the couch here.
me.
I'm more of a casual hip hop fan, and I like certain artists and a few different styles. But you are, I would say, you're the hip hop head amongst us here. So
Of the 2 of us,
yeah, of the 2 of us, yeah, for sure.
That's fair to say. So I'll be acting as his translator. I love what you say, bro.
Well, I was gonna say you actually will freestyle, and you'll actually get up there and on gigs, or you've done that before.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I do love it. I do love it. It's a true art form for sure.
Yeah,
And I've nerded out on it before, for sure.
So this is a good opportunity for me because I always love to learn about, a genre or a style I'm unfamiliar with. I want to know what goes into that, what's the process, of how something starts to when you're workshopping it and getting it done to the finished product, the finished song or the finished album, whatever it is. And so just starting off, I'm really curious, how you start, composing a set of lyrics, how you're going to match that up to a different beat, and then, is there a workshop process in the middle of that? So I'm just really curious, where it starts for you.
Me right now being 44,
Yeah.
the process has definitely changed from when I started.
Okay.
I started, sitting in, class in school, writing raps while the teacher was at the chalkboard. And, the first time you wrote raps, it was to, get a little chuckle out of your buddies at lunchtime.
Yeah.
But then after high school, I was like, I think I'm pretty good at this. I'm gonna take a run at it. So, as far as taking a lump of clay and turning it into something, one thing that I like to do is I like to take whatever instrumental it is I'm trying to write to, and I like to freestyle while I'm driving. So
Okay.
I'll take the beats and I'll put them in the car and driving to work, driving here and there. I'll just see what I can come up with.
Yeah.
One time I was in the shower and I wrote something that I thought was the best line. I wrote it in the steam on the door. And so you got to find it wherever you get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you write it on a napkin or whatever,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you grab it here and there, and I can at this point I can say, okay, I'll write a verse and I'll be like, okay, that's going to be the second verse because I didn't want to bring that up just yet. There's some things I want to talk about first. So
Yeah.
I have this weird way of when I walk into a studio session, even if it's with a beat I've never heard before, I can hear the finished song before the song is actually finished because I know how I want it to sound.
Okay. Cool.
And I hope that doesn't make me sound like a dick or anything like
No,
that.
not
I'm
at
all
all.
cocky and arrogant. I know what I'm doing, but that's you
Nothing wrong with that at all.
You said about the process that works for me.
Yeah, well, that's perfect because I think that it's more, I'm trying to think of the right word to describe it. I think it's less frustrating, I guess is the best way to put it. If you have an idea of what you want something to sound like, instead of, you might have a set of lyrics and instead of struggling to go, oh man, what's the feel or what's the style I want, underneath this? If you already know where to go with that, there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's just having a complete vision for your writing process, really.
Yeah, back in the days, I could hear a beat, or I could not even hear a beat. I could just sit and write with a beat sort of in my mind. Okay, when it comes time for me to apply these lyrics, it has to be on a beat that kind of sounds like this because that's what I was envisioning.
Yeah.
But like now, like I said, I don't know if it's because I'm older, my brain works differently now. When I hear a beat, I have to know what I'm going to write about before I start writing. I have to know what the hook is. I have to know, is this a song where I'm just barring out? Is this a song where I'm telling a story?
Yeah.
Am I going to like I have to, I break it down so much. I probably drive my engineers crazy, but like I have to know where it's going before I take off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And so when you're listening to whatever those tracks are going to be, or if you write a certain phrase, will a certain style come to mind? Because that happens with me. If I pick up like an instrument, for example, I might play a certain thing, or I'll have an idea in my head, and then sometimes that'll be like a ping pong effect, where I'll play that and I'll go, oh, I want to take this in this direction. Or somebody in a band setting will play something and then I'll go, oh wait, that reminds me of this, and I start playing something in that feel or key. So it kind of sounds like it's a similar thing for you.
Yeah, you just kind of go with what feels right.
Yeah.
If I hear a certain kind of beat that's a different tempo than what I'm used to rapping over, instead of just doing the A-B style, maybe I'll do A-A-B-B, maybe I'll change it up. Two of my favorite rappers are Scarface and Pasta Noose from De La Soul. Because they're so out there with their styles, they can go this way, that way, and it all makes sense at the end of the verse.
Yeah.
So, but again, I try not to emulate them. I'm just saying I might have to like tap dance a little bit before I kind of get where I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one thing that like it's always tricky to sometimes get out of, is that you have your set of influences and you don't want to necessarily go to that all the time, because you do want to keep evolving and you want to push yourself. But there is going to be that element of, if you love De La Soul and if you love those old school MCs, then like you might be going in that direction maybe without thinking about it at first, and it's like I want to get away from that for a minute.
Yeah, you don't want to listen to somebody to the point where you start mimicking them.
Yeah.
I've seen people just get dragged on message boards because they'll go on and on. They'll go on and on about how good so and so's album is, and check his earlier albums, and then he'll upload one of his songs, and people will be like, "You sound like that guy that you love so much," and it's just like, you have to be careful, because coming up, one of the worst things you could get labeled is a biter. And that's like a thief, somebody that steals.
Along came a biter.
Oh, Along came a biter, yeah, bus driver song.
Yeah, son.
So I always, like, my favorite MC, the guy that I tell people that I used to try to mimic, is Master Ace. Master Ace was my guy.
Okay.
But I never thought I sounded like him.
Yeah.
I liked Ace because, number one, he wrote a lot of songs about cars, and I do a lot of driving, so that's one of the main reasons I related to him.
Yeah.
But like the same thing people say about me. I like your music because I can understand what you say. I could always understood what Ace said. Yeah. Some people, even back in the 80s, in the late 80s, fast rap was very popular with guys like Big Daddy Kane and Percy P. And sometimes, like, you know, like I can't get down like that. I can't I can't rap like that in the studio, and on stage, forget it, man. Like look at me, for crying out loud. When people tell me that you have to rap like that to be dope, I'm just like, okay, cool. You can go listen to Tech Nine and have a good day.
Sure.
But don't give me shit because I don't rap like that.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't meet your criteria, there's a million other rappers that do.
Oh yeah, well I always hated that when, like, when it comes to instrumentalists, like with guitar players, because especially when you're coming up in like high school and stuff, oh, who's the fastest, who's doing this, and it's like, that's not what it's all about, because
yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, well, part of it. That's part of what it's about. But like, there's guys that can play 2 notes, you know, or bend a note and hold it, and it's just like they're saying way more in 1 or 2 notes than somebody who's playing 1,000,000 miles an hour. Now, you don't have to do that if that's your thing and that's what you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's cool. But yeah, if you're focusing on a certain style, then that's your lane, and that should be cool. You know, it shouldn't have to fit into a certain mold or anything.
You get into arguments with people, and then after a while, you just kind of like the dealer walking away from the table. It's like, you know what, maybe you're right. And then that's pretty much that. Some people, they think that's what it takes to be great. But, you know, you can only argue with those people for so long before you're just like, well, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Just like wave the white flag and let me get out of this conversation.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. I'm going to walk away.
You got to wonder what people are going through in their life to be so tenaciously clinging to such a limited idea.
Yeah.
That's honestly what it is.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You know? I wonder about y'all.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I'm thinking about you, Internet.
Yeah. But is that something that you feel like happens more just online with people from wherever, or was that something you really dealt with in the local music scene a lot among like maybe your peers or coming up?
Me, myself, not really. It's just that people have a certain perception of who got their influence from who. Like I said, I'm 44. I graduated high school in 94, AV High School.
Okay.
Oh, shit, math.
And I was basically a loner for like 7 years until my partner from high school, Keenan, we rapped together for 3 years. And then in 97, he moved to Georgia to go to Georgia Tech University. So after, it was basically just me and him because we were the only ones in our school that liked like the underground kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That liked it enough to actually try to pursue it.
Yeah.
So from 97, he went to Georgia, and then for about 4.5 years, I was a true soloist as far as doing everything myself. I would draw my own cover, take it to Kinko's, run off 50 copies, hand cut them, fold them into the jewel cases, burn the CDs one by one. Everything was super DIY.
Yeah.
And then I met all these kids at this open mic night that was at Barnes & Noble in Palmdale. And this was 2001, and most of these kids were right out of high school, so they were like 8 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So long story short, we ended up, over a few open mics, I would go see them, they would come see me. We decided to become like a super crew out here. We called ourselves Life for the Better, LFTB.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Life for the Better.
And we would hang out, and sometimes we would go out to Amoebas in Hollywood, or we would get booked at a show. And I would take my dad's van. He had an Aerostar. God bless that van. Took us to a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And I would always make the travel tape. We listened to a cassette on the way to the show or wherever we went.
Nice.
And I would put a bunch of stuff from Master Ace because he was my favorite. Now these kids, when I'm like, sorry about that.
You're good.
So these kids were all like 8 years younger than me. They didn't come up in the 80s like I did.
Yeah.
So I'm playing the Master Ace, and they're like, who is this guy? It sounds like somebody trying to sound like Eminem.
Yeah.
Because Eminem was already out at the time, and I'm like, this guy's been out since 85.
Yeah.
But they don't know that. They think it's somebody trying to sound like M, and I'm like, no, if anything, Eminem came up listening to Ace, not the other way around. So it's just funny when you hear people's perceptions of who got whose style from where. They thought Master Ace, who's been out since the 80s, was biting somebody that didn't come out until 99. So I just thought that was funny.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's changing now with the internet and being able to research stuff like that and being able to have access to like podcasts and interviews where people are going, no, you need to check this person out. And I feel like that's opening up a lot more than it used to be. I don't know. Wouldn't you say?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
All right.
People are able to talk a lot faster on the internet and get a lot more information, and then just fling random ass opinions all over the place.
Well, that's true.
So I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of
It's not like it got more
self-entitlement you got to fight with.
You know, people aren't getting more articulate.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I think I think it's cool that you were doing that DIY ethic. You know, you were participating in that. It makes sense why you blended in with the punk community out here so much, because that's just doesn't matter if it's a super popular, famous punk band or literally a band that just got started, 2 weeks ago out here in Lancaster. That's the classic story of, we drew our own album artwork, or we had, a friend of ours in the band or a friend of ours drew it for us, and then we, we're folding record sleeves and stapling them together, or like you were saying, going down to Kinko's and burning them one by one. So if you're playing, a punk show out here, it's like you probably fit right in with that whole aesthetic.
Yeah, just the execution was different.
Yeah,
I tell punk heads when they come up to me and tell me good set, or when I would tell them they had a good set, I would say we park our cars in the same garage.
Yeah.
You drive this, I drive that, but we park our cars in the same garage.
Yeah, you're both probably having a hard time booking shows and like having people wanting either hip hop or punk in their venue, or the back of some restaurant or wherever the shows were happening, and they're probably hesitant about that. And you're probably equally just trying to get people to come out to the shows and like trying to build an audience or getting people to be aware of it. It's a lot of the similar struggle, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Definitely.
Who are some of the bands that you played with, just for some AV music scene history? Who were some of the bands that you came up playing with that?
This is going to be rough because there were so many.
Yeah.
You put me on the spot here, man. I should have brought punched up some old flyers.
Well, that's good. I mainly
that would make it easier.
Yeah.
That would make it easier.
Well, I'm mainly asking just because like I'm curious what like doing new material or doing some of your material, like what the actual reaction from the audience was, because some of those shows could be a little bit rowdy at times, and like I've played shows where it's like you're playing in front of a crowd like that, and like they're mostly cool and pretty receptive, but you might have some people that are like, oh, what the fuck, like I came here to see a punk band. But
I honestly, and again, not to sound like a dick, but I got very little of that. Most of the punk heads that stuck around for me, I got loud applause for my songs, and I got a lot of love after my set. So the punk community has been good to me. I've rocked. I played steadily at the Britisher at some Burger Wolf shows in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Eddie Beckett's Punk Rock Thanksgiving. I rocked there like 4 or 5 times. It's mostly due to the other guys in the crew. It was either a guy that was in Rhyme Village with me, Cause. Everybody knows Cause because he plays pool out here. And then Joe Sharp. Shout out to Cause and Joe. Joe moved to Texas.
Yeah.
But Joe and Cause are actually responsible for the majority of the punk gigs.
Yeah.
That either I got booked at as a soloist, or we, as my second crew, Rhyme Village, got booked at. We did a lot where it was us and like a band or just other bands, and sometimes we were the only rappers, and we actually thought that was cool because, like I said, we generally got a lot of love. Most people, if they didn't feel us, they just went outside to smoke a cigarette or whatever.
Sure, yeah, that's cool. And Joe's another one of those guys that's totally crossing over into that, because the first time I did sound for Joe, and I don't know if you've seen Joe, one of his shows, but it was like an industrial night I was doing sound for, and he had like a total Halloween like pentagram background, and then he had
I remember that one.
Yeah, and then
fake
he had
blood
like
and
blood,
bitches in leather.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, okay, this is like I'm gonna go see Ministry or something, or like some metal band. Like, this is cool, and he just totally killed it. And yeah, he's another one of those guys from the scene out here that sort of crossed over. Yeah. I was gonna say, hopefully I get to see him again one day, someday soon.
Every now and then he pops back. Before the pandemic, he did. I don't know.
Yeah,
he should get out here pretty soon. I instant message him every few days or so. He's good out in Texas.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and talk a little bit about that with being a part of like Rhyme Village and like sort of those crews that you were like working with, and like. For those that don't know, how does that necessarily work with going from being a solo DIY sort of artist to working with a group of people like that, or a collective?
Well, Life for the Better lasted about 6 years. We kind of fizzled out in 2007. The members that were still active at that time was basically just me, another producer that I still work with, Elephant Gerald. What's up, EG? And DJ Stereotype. DJ Stereotype, he didn't live out here. He lived in LA, so he kind of got into the warehouse club scene. He started doing these Ham on Everything shows with David and Adam Weiss. What's up, guys? And then he was eventually busy just doing those. So I would always click up with a crew just because, I mean, I didn't mind being a solo artist, but at the same time, I needed to stay busy. I didn't like sitting on my hands.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm one of those people that thinks the music that I make now, that's going to be left behind when I'm gone. So I always want to make it the best. I don't want to sit around waiting for this person or that person.
Yeah.
So I would always crank stuff out. But when I was with Life for the Better, another crew that showed us a lot of love out here, again, they were a little younger than us, but they were called Identical Opposites.
Okay.
And so Identical Opposites crew. So some of the members of IOK, Cause was one of them. So when IOK kind of split because a few members went to Oceanside and a few members stopped rapping, Joe was just always that dude that would come to the shows and freestyle with us at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
But Cause was from IOK. We had a couple others, China and LNT, and we became Rhyme Village. And it was just fun to be around a bunch of guys that was as motivated as I was to make new music and do shows and like kind of make a stamp out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a little tiring when you're doing that all by yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And it can wear on you. So sometimes it's good to just be a part of a crew that kind of are willing to help out with some of the duties.
Yeah, definitely.
Instead of just showing up at the day of the show.
Yeah.
And not doing much else in between.
Yeah. And is that translating into writing too? Or are you guys like, workshopping like songs together or lyrics or?
When I was heavily active with Rhyme Village, we would all meet at China's pad because China was the producer.
Okay.
And China would say, hey, I made this beat. And he would invite over me, Joe, LNT, and Cause, and we would all write. And ordinarily, I like writing by myself because some people have habits. Some people make noises with their mouth. Some people bang on the table, and I don't like any of that. I like it quiet.
Yeah.
But I put up with it when I'm with the crew.
Okay.
But if you listen to the Rhyme Village album, out of the 14 songs on there, I rap first on 11 of them.
Okay.
Because China was always like, whoever finishes their verse first, you hop in the lab, and then whoever finishes second, they're second on the song. And so it was almost always me that finished first.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's just because I was programmed or the guys. Sometimes the guys needed to freestyle to get the blood flowing before they picked up their notebook and started writing, or their phone or whatever. I would always just put the beat on. If I already know what I want to mention and how I want to go about it, it won't take me long to get down 16 bars.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. You've got a pretty methodical process then. It's, because some people, I know, actually, I was going to ask you about this too. I'm not exactly sure how you write, but for me, it's more like just waiting for the idea to hit me, or what expedites that for me is that if somebody plays a riff or a chord change, then I can start to hear something. But with coming up with something from scratch, it's usually just when an idea hits me, I got to have that recorder ready to go. Sometimes it happens in the car, but most of the time it'll happen from, it could be anywhere, walking around or just, hearing, piece of music or something else, and then I have to capture it really quickly. So like, for you, how does that writing process get started?
Well, these days I like to just write to the music itself. So I guess by the time I got something kind of composed all the way through, I usually have at least some basic ideas of where like a vocal melody is going to go.
Okay.
And then it's a question of what will this be about? And then I have that kind of like, oh shit, I got to come up with an idea now. Okay.
Yeah.
And so then it's like I start like jabbing at it in various ways. Sometimes I'll just sing to the track while it's playing in my room, and then I'll record that whole mess and see if anything interesting came out.
Yeah.
And then sometimes that works, and then if that doesn't, then I just sit there and I'll just write to it, and then I'll just sing what I've written to it until...
Gotcha.
Usually it's a matter of removing things that are superfluous from the idea. The idea usually comes quick, and then the rest of it's just articles like, oh, that the is not going to get through. We got to figure out another way to, to fit that meter.
Yeah,
Because I'm not very good at writing to the meter of the beat in the song.
Oh, okay.
I'm just so focused on like the idea and like one or two little like images really got to come out. But that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say that like as far as your editing process, do you have to like look at it and go, okay, like you have to eliminate some clutter, or is it you kind of are doing that as you're writing? Because I know for me, like just writing normal pieces, like I've kind of learned to do that where I'll write something out and then I'll go back through and kind of mentally put brackets around things that I don't think necessarily works or I could say better. Did you kind of do that when you have a complete set of lyrics?
Yeah, I kind of go through it while I'm writing, scribble out a word, write it, put a little arrow or a little dot, parentheses, whatever you got to do to be like, I got to punch this in. Yeah. And when I perform this live, that's not going to be there, so I got to hit this differently. And so, yeah, I go through my verses a lot because when I go to the studio, I don't want to stay in the booth too long. I want to get as much done as possible, so I practice meticulously.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I imagine too that comes with, like you said, as you get older, your process evolves and it changes. So I imagine over time that, you know, that's something that you don't want to be spending, you know, you probably don't have the time to spend all day in the studio, like if you're younger and, you know, just out of high school and, hey, I'm hanging out with my buddies and we're going to record songs today. It's like, no, I've got, you know, 3 hours, 4 hours in the studio. It's like, I want to get as much done as I possibly can. Yeah.
I'm kind of the hard ass that like when guys in the studio are like, hey, you know, we should set up a poker game in here, and it's like, no, we shouldn't. We should record a song. It's a fucking studio. Like, come on.
Yeah, totally. It's like poker night is for poker night. It's like let's record because we got it going.
Well, the thing is, one time with me, I used to be signed to an indie label based out in the Valley, Broken Complex. What's up, BC? And Hoppa has this thing, or at least he did. I haven't worked with Hoppa for a minute, but he would never let a new beat leave the lab.
Okay.
He would hit me up and be like, I just made something, but I'm not going to send it to you. If you want to write to it, you got to come over.
Yeah.
So I would gas up the car and drive out to the Valley. And one time I was at his place, and I don't know if it was just because he was there, just kind of like letting the beat play. I was there for 5 hours. I was embarrassed. It took me that long to write a song.
Yeah.
I think I got there around 8, and I didn't end up leaving till around 1:30. And I was like, that was 5 hours is a long time. But he was just sitting there like, okay, here it is, right. And I don't know if he thought it would take me 20 minutes, because sometimes it does, but like 5 hours later, the song is great. The song ended up being a song called Veterans Day, and it's really good. But like, again, the fact that it took me 5 hours, I drove home like feeling shameful. I said, it shouldn't take me that long to write 2 verses and a hook.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I kind of programmed myself to be like, okay, we need to get this done kind of pronto. Boom, boom, boom. Don't sit here and be like, what if this, what if that? Like you said, pick a lane and get there.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I think it's cool to hear that, like, I don't know, you're going into it with that sort of process. And I think that, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but I imagine if you're around younger rappers who are coming up in the Valley, then, you know, in our music scene, then you can kind of, you know, impart some of that onto them and just be like, hey, you know, start thinking about this kind of stuff early, you know, because sometimes depending on who you have like mentoring you, or like who the older, you know, musicians that you have in your life are, you might learn these lessons early, you might learn them later. You know, I know for me, I learned a lot of this stuff from, you know, classes I was taking in college, older musicians that I hooked up with at like jam nights in town. So, and like they were imposing some of this stuff onto me pretty early. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is how you do things. This is how you play a set. This is how you get on and off stage quickly. And it's good to have that, you know.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Has there been any like younger rappers that have like, you know, gotten advice from you, or you've kind of, you know, shown them some of this stuff?
So I always try to impart that wisdom on some of the younger heads out here that would come up to me, or that would open up a show that I ended up headlining. I would tell them, you know, you might want to consider after you take the mic off the stand, move the stand out of the way. Okay. People that are right in the front, they're looking at the stand and you're behind it. Like, move, just take the stand.
Yeah.
Like little stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it helps, at least to me. Somebody that's been in it for years, you know, but you also don't want to sound like some arrogant dick that knows everything.
No, man.
Because I was on tour once, and the group that went on before us in Eugene, Oregon.
Oh, that shithole.
They were all wearing matching shirts, and they were rapping over their vocals.
Yeah.
And when I was coming up, that was not the matching shirt thing, but the rapping over the vocals is a no-no. Like you know, when I was coming up, you know, all the real MCs didn't lip sync. You know, you had to get up there and spit those bars out. So we told these guys in Eugene, you know, you should you leave the dubs on the track for the certain stuff you want to emphasize, but like rap the song. Don't rap over your own lyrics and don't lip sync. And like, they got kind of confrontational with us. Some people they don't like criticism. They don't take it well. And it was a lot of fuck yous, go back to California, this and that. Like they didn't take it well at all.
Oh, that's not cool.
But like, you know, when I see other youngsters rapping like that, it's like, you know, who's your favorite rapper right now?
Yeah.
You know, you go see Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Action Bronson. They don't rap over their lyrics.
No.
So if they're your favorite guy, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
I told the homie LNT when we first met. I said, would you walk with a crutch if your leg wasn't broken?
Oh, I
you know
like
what I'm saying?
that.
Vocals on the beat, that's a crutch. You got to lose that. If you're a rapper, you need to get out on stage and spit that out.
Yeah. Well, and that was always like coming up, you know, at the Moose Lodge shows where I was doing sound, and I'm pretty sure I did sound for you a few times
before we officially like spoke and was like, I always would, even if I didn't know the sound man, you always got a shout out to the sound man for making me sound beautiful up here.
Yeah. Well, you and I was gonna say Jaime Contreras out here who booked shows. Yeah. And I was gonna say he was doing beatboxing stuff with Vibetron, I think, right? Yeah. And so I was doing sound for those guys and different crews coming up and stuff like that. And it was always impressive when there were people that didn't do that. And not to, you know, shit on anybody that does, but it was just always like, you would see usually the younger guys that were just starting off would have that, and then the guys who had been around for a while weren't doing that. And it was just always interesting to see, and I felt like it added another energy in the room. Just being an objective party of like watching, just purely watching performers on stage. Like anybody that didn't lip sync or have like the track backing them up the whole way, it was like, oh wow, this just went to another level.
I don't know how that became the norm. I don't know how people thought that was okay. Yeah, like, I wouldn't be happy with that if I went to a show and I was in the crowd. Yeah. And I was like that, because I heard that about, every now and then a rapper will come along, not to change subject, but every now and then a rapper will come along where all my friends like him except me. Yeah. And I don't know if that's just because I'm a snob or what, but somebody that I never liked was MF Doom. Okay. Everybody liked him. All my homies liked him. I liked him before he was Doom, when he was Sub Rock, when he rapped on the song with Third Base called Gas Face. He was super young, but he wasn't even Doom back then. Okay. But the reason I didn't like Doom is because right before he put out his album called Food, he got busted. This is before Facebook and Instagram too. This is during the MySpace days. I read on a MySpace bulletin that he was lip syncing. Yeah, I read on a MySpace bulletin he got busted lip syncing at shows. Because he figures he's wearing the mask, no one's going to tell, right?
Right. Oh, I heard that sometimes it wasn't even him, though.
Yeah, that's another thing I heard. Sometimes it wasn't even Doom under the mask.
It was us, man.
Oh, he
was catfishing people before the term catfish existed. But like, it's nothing against Doom as a person.
Rest in peace.
No.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to drag somebody who's deceased. I don't know who forced him on the road.
We got to get into it in order to talk about what we're talking about. Don't you think?
Yes, I just feel like you're cheating your fans when you do that.
Sure.
Like no matter who you are, no matter how good your songs are, even if you have other MCs that I like Slug and you know, other rappers that I like that are co-signing, you know, because Doom came out a couple albums on the Rhymesayers label.
For sure.
I feel like if you're going to lip sync, you're cheating your fans, and that's not cool.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely think that's a valid point to have, and I don't think...
You do it.
Well, yeah. I was going to say, no, I don't... I probably should, but no, I don't. You can definitely tell when I'm singing that it's me and not a track.
Casey's the actual singer, but you just sing along. And
I do the...
That's not lip syncing.
No, I do the harmony parts, and hopefully I'm on key that night. You know,
so far.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Yeah. It's, I think it's a valid point to have. I think, especially... I don't know. I feel like there's this weird thing in hip hop to where it's such a young culture as far as, and not just that, because it's been around for a while, but it's always constantly evolving and changing into something different, just from an outsider's perspective, that if you present now some sort of opinion on, oh, I remember like, you know, things used to be this way and here's a valid point for that, then automatically it's dismissed, even if like there's...
Yeah, someone's going to call you an old head.
Yeah.
Like, shut up, you old head. No one wants to hear that.
Yeah, and it's like, I think there's...
It's like okay boomer.
Yeah, well, right. It's the okay boomer of hip hop, exactly. Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like there's a valid perspective on like, hey, don't forget about this while still moving forward and, you know, having new styles come around and things evolving. Like, I don't know, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
It's exactly, again, the analog to punk is so real because there's always the fight for authenticity is what keeps this genre like vibrant and what also keeps it in constant peril. Yeah. And I think punk is really like the engine of rock as a popular medium, as a popular genre. And I think hip hop has become the engine of like pop as a genre.
Yeah.
Is the difference. It's like it has that ability to just absorb everything and still retain its own identity somehow. But yeah, at the same time, it's just like we see like the best ever in the game right now, but I see a lot of shit that I'm just like, I can't believe this is what it sounds like. And people don't know where things come from or who's biting who anymore.
Right.
And it's like, and you're right. It's just like Cleen said, you can't really talk to somebody without them wanting to just like not hear it. You know, it's just that era we're in where everybody wants to be right.
Yeah, that's true.
And I know I'm right.
Yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not sure. It's like I noticed very early on that hip hop has always been kind of unique in one bad way. It's unique in the sense that it doesn't really show the due respect to the veterans.
Yeah.
And I noticed that like some my age, some 44-something-year-old rock musician might be at a store and turn the corner with his cart and be like, oh shit, that's Eric Clapton. I need to get an autograph and a selfie because that guy's like a god to millions of people.
Yeah.
But I think the average hip-hop head that's like 15, 16 years old, if he turns the corner in a grocery store and he sees KRS-One, he's gonna be like, "Fuck that fool! I'm not taking a selfie with him." Like, because it's almost like when you reveal yourself as a fan, it translates to making yourself look weak. I don't know why, and it's just all bravado and testosterone. You're like, you don't want to go up to somebody and be like, "Hey, I've been listening to you for years."
Yeah.
And because then other people might be like, you're a fanboy. This is like, so what, man? I've done that. I've said that. And if I would have not said it to so-and-so, whoever it was, when I saw him, I would regret it, the next day. I'd be like, God, I should have told him that I was, that was my favorite rapper when I was in 8th grade. I should have said that.
Yeah. Well,
fuck yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's
but
interesting.
in hip-hop, it's generally not respected. Old heads just generally just kind of get dismissed. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, and I was going to ask about that because there is a thing I think it used to be that way in rock from like reading about things as far as how it used to be back in 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's like sometimes people go like, oh, that's old if it was shit from, 2 or 3 decades prior. Now there's definitely a reverence for, like you said, if there's someone you meet that you admire, someone you grew up listening to, it's very much like, in a way, it's almost the opposite, where some people just want to live in a certain time period, and anything new that comes along, it's like, oh no, this is where it's at. And it seems like it's the opposite problem in hip hop, where, like you said, there's almost no reverence for the past. And I feel like there should be some sort of happy medium between the two. And
you would want that.
Well,
let's discuss that.
Well, yeah, I don't know, because like I see examples of that. Like I love Kendrick Lamar; that'd probably be my favorite rapper. And just when I've heard that, like, and the way he layered his albums, I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. That's probably my favorite band of all time. And I was like, I wish that some artist, I don't care who, would come out with albums like that, where you listen to it from start to finish. It's got the whole sound effect thing going on, and it's creating this whole world inside of an album. And then he was the guy that did it. And when I heard To Pimp a Butterfly, that was the first thing I heard. And I was like, wow, like this blew my mind. Like, and then by the time you get to the end, spoiler alert, and you've got the whole poem that's running through the whole song, and you realize that he's talking to Tupac, and he's asking him like, hey, he's asking him for like life advice, but it's an old interview that he chopped up and did that. I'm like, that is an insane plot twist. And
no, I thought it was brilliant too.
Yeah, and
super good.
But there was also that he had George Clinton on the album, and he had like Snoop Dogg, and he had all of these people, and Thundercat on there, and it was all of these people, and I think Ronald Isley on there too.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and I was like, there was a clear homage to like in the lyrics with talking about P-Funk and having like features on there that like, this is where I come from, this is what I'm interested in. But he wasn't like trying to copy the past. And I felt like it was a perfect blend of like, here's where I'm coming from, here's where I'm going. And I was like, I don't know why more people can't do that, And again, I'm speaking from an outsider's perspective, but that's just me.
I think the reason more artists don't do that is because the short answer is they're lazy.
Okay.
That's the short answer. The long answer is they don't want to take the time to do the research on what giving a listener a cohesive experience from top to bottom would be.
Okay.
Most people, if you say, you could study for weeks and weeks and put out an album that'll sell, 80,000 units coast to coast, but people will call you, those 80,000 people will hail you as a genius.
Yeah.
Or you can make a song that's 2.5 minutes with a catchy hook that'll make you $1 million. You know, what's your choice? Most people will choose the $1 million with the least amount of effort. But like, I'm kind of with you. Like, I want to give people, I want people to, when they're listening to my music, I want them to be like, fuck, I want to listen to more, but instead I got stuff to do. Like, I want people to be like stuck on my music.
Yeah.
So I don't just think 2.5 minutes of a catchy hook, you know, times, you know, 15. I don't think that's an album. It's just like it's like a movie that's like an action movie, a bunch of explosions and no plot line. It's like, okay, it's like popcorn music. You munch on it, but you don't get full.
Right.
So I try not to make it. I actually have a song called Cash for Gold on there where I talk about old heads that are kind of not respected by the new generation. Because I have, in the late 2000s when Jay-Z retired and Lil Wayne was like, I'm the new king.
Yeah.
I had one friend who was like, I had one friend who was like, I'm not listening to any rapper that has Lil in front of his name. And he was, like you said, stuck in that era where he wouldn't even give it a chance, even if Little Water Bottle.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a wide discography you got to throw out.
It's the land of a million.
Yeah, like Little Water Bottle might have the best song since, you know, Eric B. and Rakim, but if you don't even check it because it's LIL something, like you're pigeonholing yourself. So So I try not to be one of those, you know, old head yells at clouds like Grandpa Simpson. I try not to, because I remember somebody made a meme of Eminem. It was somebody put Eminem's face over Grandpa Simpson, and the cloud he was yelling at was the orange SoundCloud logo. Yeah, and it was brilliant, but I didn't want to be that guy. So I'm like, okay, I made an effort to listen to like these new rappers, the mumble rappers that a lot of people were dismissing, and once you sift through the crap, and there's a lot of crap. Yeah, you can find 1 or 2 or 3 really good artists in there. Yeah, that kind of are thrown into that category kind of unjustly, in my opinion.
Sure, that's everything. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, but like for me, I felt for a while, it's like because of just the nature of the internet, to get what you want, you're going to have to look for it, you know. And
that's the thing. Most people they don't want to take the time.
Right, and it's about like it's not really that hard to do. It's like you have to find certain outlets. I think make it easier. You can find outlets for that information. Like you've turned me on to a few bands that I've heard about, or you know, you've mentioned before, and I'm like, oh yeah, who's that band again? And I'll go listen to it, and I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome. Or certain curators, like Henry Rollins, for example. He's turned me on to so many new and old bands that I hadn't heard before just from his radio show. And you can find outlets for that, like certain blogs, publications, it's like, that are going to be giving you information that aren't, you know, that's not mainstream bands, or they're in that weird layer between the mainstream and underground bands, you know, and they're sort of in that process of becoming more well-known. But you still have to put in the effort to find it, you know. I don't know, because how do you discover, you know, new
I'll
MCs?
never tell you.
Oh, all right, all right.
He's trying to just pull it out on the podcast. Oh shit, I'm stuck on my lap. Yeah. Ouch. I'll tell you honestly, a lot of it comes from reading and stuff like that. I like to go deep diving on like music journalism and stuff like that from time to time. So, and so I guess the thing that I wanted to speak on that point though was that,
go for it.
because that's easier than explaining where I find things from, because it is super random.
Yeah.
But a lot of what I've been finding lately that I've been into is stuff that existed. It's not new artists. It's all stuff like, I mean, I'm 39, but there's shit from the 80s even that I'm like, I'm finding out that I didn't know about. Like, you know, usually it's bands from other countries or something, but whatever it is, it's suddenly like, I mean, from my point of view, that hits me like it's today. It hits me like now because I know it now. Yeah. So I don't understand. It seems to be a disconnect contextually with people, like younger people experiencing modern music today. Yeah. Where they don't maybe see it the same way, but for me, that's just the pure enjoyment of it. It's like I can still discover shit from like the '60s I didn't know about. Yeah. That to me is a win. Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. You know? I agree with that. Like. Yeah. I think it's I'm such a goober that I will be on Spotify or a streaming service or YouTube, and then it'll hit me at some point. It's like, oh, I literally have access to pretty much any type of music or anything that I want to at a drop of a hat. Like Flying Lotus is an example I use
fairly frequently, where it was raining one day and I was driving and I was at a red light, and my buddy had mentioned him to me, and I never heard him, and this was probably like 2011, 2012, and I was like, I'm going to listen to Flying Lotus right now. And it was just, it popped in my head, the mood was right, and I put it on, and it was great. And it was like, oh, this is like Adult Swim bumper music that I've been listening to. And I had no idea.
A few of those.
Yeah, and I didn't know who it was. And there's been so many instances from like then to today, like something will pop in my head and like, oh yeah, I've heard of this person. Let me just put this on right now. And I feel like there's almost a fear of like people don't want to waste their time or something like that. Or like, maybe I won't like it. Well, you can put it on and easily switch to like something you do like. It's, you know, it's okay.
Take 3 minutes out of your busy day to listen to an artist you never heard of.
Yeah,
One time.
Exactly. And getting over the perception that if it doesn't have the package of some sort of mainstream, you know, polish to it, that somehow it's not going to be good. And I think that's also, you know, it's the same thing. If that's the food equivalent to if you only ate at Applebee's or Chili's all the time, and you didn't go to a hole in the wall, you know, mom and pop, you know, restaurant or something, or you didn't go off the beaten path to, you know, I've never heard of this before. I've never tried this kind of food before. Like it's the same thing, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's why those things have what they call in marketing and all of these corporate institutions, mass appeal.
Yeah.
They really mean that. They measure that in dollars, you know.
Yeah,
so it's like,
true.
That's the sad part. The mass is the thing that I'm focusing on. It's like appeal is subjective, but the mass is usually interested in something they can access and get and understand very simply.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, but that's not really to make art or any creative product like that doesn't seem as fulfilling from my point of view.
No, I don't think so.
I tried making something that might go like that. I tried making like a 6ix9ine rap before, you know? Like I tried making a gummo. It's not fun to do that. You feel like you're selling your soul to like not even a real devil, like a fake ass devil. Like, you just feel like the world's bitch. So you got to do what you do.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. Yeah, that's so funny that you used him as an example, because just I remember
hung up on that cat a
well,
little bit.
the first time I heard that and was watching the video for it, I was like, I've never listened to an artist or watched a music video and felt like queasy. I've heard stuff where it's like, I don't get it, or I don't like it, or oh, this is awesome. But I've just never felt like, ugh, and I just like had to turn it off. And it was just like, it was the weirdest experience. Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting that you used him as an example. And but then you get people, I don't know, you get people like J. Cole you brought up earlier, and I've been listening to that new album for a few weeks now. I think that it came out like well, that was another friend like, oh, have you heard this? I said no, and like, oh, you have to listen to it, and I did, and it was great. And then from hearing that, I went back and listened to what's the one he put out in 2014? It's Forest Hill Drive or something like that. Heard that, and I was like that one more than the new one, but I was like, oh my god, like this is like both of those albums are amazing. And I feel like people like that can kind of like get that barrier between sort of mainstream and underground, and you know, not compromise what they're doing, because
some people can straddle the fence, but some people, if they put on a suit in the video and they do like a clubby song, well, back in the day you would have got labeled as a sellout. Now not so much. I think people are a little more receptive.
Yeah, people love to sell out these days. Yeah. No, it's not like when we grew up where that was like a wow.
It was
we can't hang with you if you do that, right?
Yeah. Because you were trying to sound like Puff Daddy, and you were trying to like flip oldies for a quick buck.
Oh man, you got Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
You remind me of Mace, bro. Remember Mace?
I remind you of Mace?
No, you just when you say when you say Puff Daddy, I think and Mace.
Yeah,
it's just like remember when that dude was popular? That's the thing I'm talking about though. That's mass appeal.
Yeah.
I was like, again, nothing really against you, Mace, but I'm like, you know, come on. It was simple, man.
Yeah, fair enough.
Simple shit. I said my piece.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, speaking of new music, I want to make sure to get this in here. You've got an album out right now, right?
Yes. Lancaster Drive In.
Yes.
Woo!
And I never thought I would see this on an album cover, but this is a little homage to AV film history, because a lot of films are made here. You've got Spies Like Us, which is an 80s cult classic, on here, and they filmed that scene, the Why Don't You Gentlemen Have a Pepsi? If anybody remembers that movie, that's at the old Lancaster Drive In.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be a drive-in, then it was a surf and turf water slide park, and now it's Costco on the corner of L and 10th. That's where it was.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, you're right.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say I had forgotten about that. But what were you going to say?
I knew that Costco was haunted. That's all.
The ghost of old Chevy Chase movies.
I was trying to bring up. I was like, who's in this? Is that Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd thing?
Is Chevy Chase
and so they go to Russia, but there's shit in Palmdale and Lancaster in there?
Well, because
That's
there's a secret underneath this drive-in. There's a secret underground base, and they take an elevator
You've never
down.
seen Spies Like Us?
Not like all the way through. I don't think.
Oh,
I was like
it's
super little when
dude,
I saw it.
it's worth it.
The Why Don't You Gentlemen Have a Pepsi line is iconic.
Yeah, I think they did a Family Guy, like one of those joke segues, and they had that in there. So it's
it's that canon.
It's a part of '80s culture that's like there's all the mainstream movies like you've got your Caddyshack and you've got your Ferris Bueller's Day Off with like all the main ones, and then if you're going to like deeper cuts, you got to go to Spies Like Us for sure. Yeah, it's as I was talking to Cleen about earlier before we started, it's one of those movies that I found in a Walmart bargain bin as a kid, and I had parents that turned me on to all the 80s movies and all that, growing up on SNL and that whole culture. And so I was like, oh wow, they filmed a movie out here, and I was like, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 when I saw it.
Yeah, me too. I was 9 when it came out, and I was excited. It was the first rated R movie my dad let me see, just because they shot part of it out here. He was very proud of that. Being a military guy, he was very proud of that.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Well, and I was going to ask, too, because you mentioned cars and driving, and that's got sort of a driving connection there. Like, I wanted to ask, is movies and, like, movie culture and, like, pop culture like that, is that something that really hit home for you or, like, really connected with you? Because I'm not so much a movie nerd, but I've just got a database of quotes from like books and movies and TV shows, and I guess I'm kind of a nerd for a lot of those things in many respects. So,
yeah, I was a latchkey kid. My folks worked, so when me and my sister came home from school, we were home until 7 p.m. So I was playing it in front of the TV. My sister was usually on the phone.
Yeah,
and yeah. There was this TV show that I watched back in the day on HBO. It was called Dream On, and it was about a guy who would always have flashbacks to old black and white movies when he was a kid, because his TV was basically his best friend. And I'm kind of the same way. I came up in the '80s and the '90s, watching Three's Company and all the Growing Pains, and I remember when The Simpsons started and all that on the Tracy Ullman Show and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, I throw a lot of references in there of movies, TV, music, wrestling, as I'm a wrestling fan, so cartoons, stuff like that. It all raised me.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, yeah, just props for putting that on the cover, because as soon as I saw that, I went, wait a minute. And I don't know, I always connect more with musicians or artist people, like when there's that language of just movie references, as Davey well knows from doing all the podcasts that we've done so far. We'll just randomly throw out movie lines from, could be anything, like Big Lebowski, Blues Brothers, Monty Python, and I don't know, you feel like you click with people more that way.
Yeah, I had a lot of signature lines that I liked, but I tried to keep it pertain to the drive-in theme. Of course, as soon as I was done with this, somebody was like, "Oh, did you use this?" And he threw out 3 movies that I missed, and I was like, "No, damn it!"
Yeah.
But I got some good ones. The snippets are usually towards the end. A couple songs are at the beginning, but most of the snippets are at the end.
Okay, cool.
Of each song.
Yeah, and one thing I would regret if I did not bring up, I was reading the liner notes, and it says, I stole track 6 from Flying Lotus, referencing him earlier. Yeah, I wanted to ask like what the origin of that was, because it's bold to put that on an album that you put out. This is a Flying Lotus track.
Well, every time I do not so much an album, but whenever I do a mixtape, it has a theme. Like I did one, It's Always Sunny in Lancaster, with a bunch of snippets from Charlie, because my real name is Charlie, and Charlie's my favorite character. Sorry, I keep touching the mic. I don't know if that's really messing you up. Sorry about that.
There you go.
I did one about my favorite Simpsons character, Frank Grimes, who had like the worst luck ever, and he died at the end of the episode. I love the Frank Grimes. So I just kind of I always try to make. I like it so that there's a central theme kind of incorporated. I think it kind of pulls people in. I don't do it so much on albums, but I did it on my mixtapes.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Well, Davey, I want to make sure you get all of your questions in. So, is there anything for Cleen that you've been wanting to ask?
Where did y'all play Life for the Better? Where did y'all play out here? Because that name is super familiar. And I feel like with my band or something, we must have played or seen you guys play somewhere out here.
Where did we gig
Where
out?
were the usual spots? I know most of them don't exist now, but
yeah,
I will remember
God, one time at Mr. Q's, one time at Mango Tango.
Okay.
One time at Casa Romas.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, in the back room. That was a fun gig, or it was a unique gig to say the least.
Always is there.
He always is.
Yeah, I just watched the episode of Casa Romas when it was on Kitchen Nightmares with.
Classic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Classic.
Quick pause. Anybody in or outside of the Antelope Valley who has not seen that episode of Kitchen Nightmares, just go to the YouTube and type in Kitchen Nightmares Casa Roma and prepare to be amazed. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh
Man, the Industry Theater. We rocked the Industry
right on.
Theater.
Okay.
There was a place. Oh my God, I don't even know the name. It's on Avenue I, kind of across from Del Taco. There's like the liquor store that used to be Pioneer Chicken, and then next to it.
What
was that one? It was huge.
It was called the Back Door for a while.
No, not that place.
Okay.
We rocked there too when it was called Cantina del Patron.
Yes.
But this was years earlier.
Oh,
we ended up opening for this band. I don't know how they got it. It was a German DJ band called Nude. They were cool as hell. They were cool as hell. We could tell that they were like veterans and they were like, we were like, sorry about the low chain. We don't give a fuck. They still did their hour-long set. It was dope as hell.
Yeah. Well, there were two spots over there. There was Fantasy Hall and the Bamboo Lounge.
Bamboo. We performed at Bamboo too.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks to Carlos, we had steady exposure. And actually, more so as Rhyme Village, not as Life for the Better, but steady exposure at the Brit during the 2000s.
Okay, cool.
Along with, periodically I would perform at the Trap or someplace else. But, yeah, man, local gigs, they kept me afloat. Sometimes I would take them just to stay sharp when I had a bigger one coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I wanted to ask, too, you mentioned touring earlier. Have you had a chance to do a lot of that outside of the AV in California?
I've been very lucky. I've had people higher up on the food chain than me ask me, hey, I'm gonna tour from this time to this time. You wanna roll with me and be my opener? And I would jump at yes.
Yeah.
Let me put in for the hours at my job and let's roll.
Nice.
A couple times it would just be like you have to cover your own food.
Okay.
Chip in for gas, but you sling merch and that's how you eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was always as long as I can move two, I'll be good. I'll as long as I can move two and like come away with $10 and if we get a cut of the door, even better. But like I'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that speaks to your work ethic, man. You've been grinding, and putting out albums and like continuing to work at it. So it just that also just speaks to who you are as a person and as a rapper, musician, creative person.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I have to ask this before we get out of here.
I'm not even done.
Sorry. Go for it. I don't want to cut you off.
I want to ask you about production. As far as like when it comes to the songs that you do you ever find yourself wanting to get in there and like sequence a beat? Do you ever get that involved in the production of stuff, or do you actually, like, when you're working with the engineer or whoever the producer, are you like, I want to sample this from that? Like, tell us how you get down on that.
I'm very blessed and very lucky that I've had talented friends around me to help me in that department.
Cool.
I've had friends that shout out to Kevin Wilson from Life for the Better, who was basically the first guy who I would just give him a sample idea. Yeah, what up, Kev?
Kevin.
I would just give him a sample idea and be like, you know, it would be kind of cool if someone flipped this sample, and then a few days later he'd be like, hey, check this out, and then he'd be like, here, this is yours, write to this, and I'd be like, oh my God, thank you. Like I'm so lucky. Like the one that I still work with, Elephant Gerald, EG. What up, EG? I told him one time I had took him out crate digging, and we were going over what he purchased, and I said, you know what would be kind of dope if somebody took the drums from Posse on Broadway by Sir Mix-a-Lot and the Dureer bass line from the Humpty Dance and layered them, and he did that, and then the next week he was like, check this out, and that ended up becoming one of our songs on our first collaborative project. I said we're gonna call that one Boom Boom Man because I said that's his nickname from now on. Like, how many rappers can say I want to flip this sample to their producer, and then a few days later it's just done and he's like, here. Like a lot of these guys, they either rip beats off of YouTube that aren't theirs, or they'll just do something on someone else's beat. Or I'm very lucky in the sense that I've just got some talented friends that and EG also. What you said earlier about giving people a cohesive listening experience. Yeah. He does instrumental projects as well because he wants to take people on, like as he puts it, a journey. Yeah. And to have a guy like that at my disposal, I'm so lucky. Yeah. Nice. It's I think that's the story of all of us, man. It's like trying to find the people that we click with, you know, in whatever level. It could be bandmates, like people who are like engineers that you want to work with, like, you know, or producers in your case that are putting instrumentals and beats together. Like, finding somebody that clicks with you and understands where you're going is just so key. You know, I really think, like, you can't put it in words, like, when you find that person, because I've found that in my drummer, you know, in my band, and it's, you know, it's just really? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you know.
He says positive things about this guy very rarely. So
yeah, well, no. We've sort of it's gotten to that point in our musical relationship where like we just bust each other's chops and give each other shit all the time versus like actually complimenting each other. Even though I love him dearly and you know he's like a brother to me, but it's still just as far as musically, like when we play together, it clicks and like I know where he's gonna go, he knows where I'm gonna go, and it's just. For a rhythm section, it's perfect, you know, and I imagine it's the same way. Like, if you're hearing certain things like that, and then not only does that person respond well to that idea, but then they also go, oh, hey, check this out, and I could add this to it. That's just, it's the best, you know, it's the best. I'm very lucky. I tell people that I get beats for free that I would happily pay for. Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Anything else? You were saying, sir? Yeah. Before we get out of here, I just wanted to ask about touring because I know that it can be kind of a weird, interesting, you know, rough experience for bands sometimes, and you can have the time of your life too. And with hip hop, I was just wondering, like, how easy is it to tour? Like, what's the environment like touring, and just kind of painting a picture of like what that life is like on the road for you. I actually love being on the road. I love to tour. I wish I could find a caretaker for my folks because my main tour mate, a guy who lives out in Sacramento, Mr. Peach Hill. What up, Peach Hill? Peach Hill's the one who's like, hey, I'm thinking of going on the road from this time to this time. You want to come with? He's very meticulous. He counts the miles. He averages $4 of gas per mile. It'll take this much money to get from here to here, and then from here to here. He'll do that for the whole trip. That's great. And then he'll divide it among the two of us. Okay, and he'll call it the buy-in. The buy-in is this: if you put in $500, and that's what we're gonna, because it'll cost roughly $1,000. Yeah. For gas and motel, and then again, say at the end of the night, you got to feed yourself. Yeah. So I have no problem with the buy-in system because we don't have to be like, do we have money for this motel room, this and that. Sometimes, sometimes drama falls in your lap. Sometimes it just follows you from city to city. Yeah. There's all kinds of shenanigans where something almost happened, but it was close enough to where I don't want to go down that road again. Yeah, sure. So we try to not poke the bear, so to speak. Sure. But sometimes it's unavoidable. But most people, when you meet them and you tell them you're on tour from another state, most people, instead of kind of giving you the side eye or whatever, most people would be like, well, if you're
if you're good enough at your music to tour, state to state, then you can't really suck.
Right.
So most people are pretty receptive.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, and that's the same thing with bands too. It's like, not necessarily every city, but there's generally more of a respect for if you're coming from out of town or, like out of state, like, oh my God, you're on tour, and, just in the sense of, I think people will give you more respect up front than if you were necessarily a local band there coming up, and I think it's kind of the same way. As far as like the audiences go in the clubs, like, you were talking about in Eugene where people, weren't necessarily receptive to like criticism. Like, do you find the other like rappers and other like clubs are generally supportive and cool, or it's like hit and miss? Like, what's that like?
Most of the time they're supportive and cool. Every now and then you get somebody that's just kind of standoffish. They'll do their set and leave, or they'll just kind of like chill and not be very like, won't even want to just slap hands with you and be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
I always try to do that because I always try to leave the bridge open for, hopefully the next time I come to this city, you'll come back to the show and you'll bring a friend, and then the next time each of you will bring a friend, and it'll be 4 people, and then 8, and then
that's the game.
That's what you hope to be. But like, if I'm somewhere and I know it's just going to be a one-off, then I'll perform my ass off, I'll hustle my ass off, and if it doesn't happen again, then, ironically enough, I hold on to the memory because you never know when this is all going to come to an end. So
yeah,
but I'm very anxious to get back on the road.
Yep.
Perform my new set, perform songs on here, and I never really had a proper a tour for the previous project that I did with Kid B called Fresh Air.
Yeah.
Because right after we did Fresh Air, he moved to Texas.
Yeah.
And so we're still in the process of trying to press up Fresh Air on vinyl. Okay. And if he can get it pressed on vinyl, then I was going to drive down there to pick up my half of the records and also try to do some gigs in Texas, maybe South by Southwest time of year.
Yeah.
But it's all kind of up in the air because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I keep seeing on the news about how there's this new variant that's stronger than the old one, and it's going to flare up again after the summer. And I got my blinders on. I want to hit the road so bad, but like I said, I got to be smart right now.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I think that, you thinking about your parents and, taking care of them is obviously the most important thing. And, kudos to you for doing that. But I hope you can hit the road soon, and I hope that, you'll be able to kind of get those vinyls and start pushing those and getting that out there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Julius Eastman, a great local artist who did the cover for that.
Julius,
yes.
Dr. J.
Yes. No, Dr. J.
Very
nice.
very talented man. He did the cover for Fresh Air, hand painted on wood.
Yeah.
Nothing computerized or anything. That's all just raw talent.
Yeah, I've been putting out the feelers in the last few days for up and coming guests and getting people on here. And Julius is definitely somebody I reached out to, and trying to get him on here at some point. So
yeah, Julius is a good egg.
Yeah, he's. I interviewed him for the column that I do in the paper too, and it was great talking with him, and mentioned you and doing my research, and then he was talking about how much he loved like your. Just how much, love he had for you, and like, oh yeah, no, I told him like, I have to do that cover. And then like, and I saw the cover and it was great. It was like such an awesome, dope looking cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate you coming down to the studio.
You guys inviting me down, man.
Yeah. Hey, next time when you're, feeling it, if you want to do a set here, man, do a live set, we'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have to get my stage legs back, but I'll take you up on that next time.
Yeah. Cool. We've had a couple live performances here on the couch with just, people singing and playing acoustic, and we want to start doing more full performances in the live room, and yeah, we'd love to have you, man.
I don't know if I could rap sitting down. I would probably have to walk around.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, we get the room ready and have you,
Okay, sorry. Hashtag fat guy problem.
Nah, man, we'll do it right for you, and we'll get you back in here and get you.
Maybe I could bring EG. He could play the beats live instead of on a. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna bring you a world premiere.
Okay.
Do you guys play music on here?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Okay, I brought it on a USB. I don't know if you guys can play music on a USB.
Yeah, we can add it in post. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Nice.
So you listeners, citizens of this podcast, you'll hear some new music from Cleen right after we get done with this interview.
Brand new.
Brand new. World premiere.
Lucky little babies.
Yeah, brand spanking new.
Lucky as hell.
Cool. Thank you, Cleen. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
If you're frightened of dying and you're holding on, you'll see devils tearing your life away. But if you've made your peace, then the devils are really angels, freeing you from the earth. It's just a matter of how you look at it, that's all. So don't worry, okay?
Life is ugly, but it can be beautiful too. Depends on what you're looking at or if someone's looking at you. I look out for my circle. I'm still the same man to give the shirt right off my back to homies that became fam. Yup, getting older, reminiscing, going through my list of friends. It might be time to swallow pride like prescription meds. Realize what's worth your energy and what's just not to be. Slap hands and hug it out. Long time no see. Benny's moving to Texas in 4 weeks. Fresh air ain't even had a proper release. Less valleys, more peaks. The struggle is real. Started out as a joke, now it's real as fuck. If you make minimum wage, you need a second job. What do? You're figuring out, that's what. And show all the people that depend on you just how it's done. Lead by example, even when you don't want to be the leader. Rise like the sun when life is like a rag soaked with ether. If I really love something, I'm making it mine. For that good life, eating steak and drinking the wine. So if you think I'm still too old to be playing with rhymes, that's your opinion, I'm living one day at a time. If I really love something, I'm making it mine. For that good life, eating steak and drinking the wine. So if you think I'm still too old to be playing with rhymes, that's your opinion, I'm just living one day at a time. The first time a fan reached out and told me that a song of mine helped them through a rough patch when they were having a hard time, I didn't know how to react. Of course I was flattered, but it was more than that. It meant something to me, it mattered. More than just playing a song for the crew that I whipped up on a 4-track in 2002. I felt responsible for you, and if I served misinformation and just called it entertainment, even if you guys were paying full price per download, I just wouldn't be feeling right. I need to sleep at night, the door is locked, the key to life is love. No kids, but call it dad rap if you like. If you got kids, hug them, I guess it's just a different line that I'm walking. Shout to Johnny Cash and the whole working class, the ones that know the bruises heal, the hurt will pass. You can still draw that broken crayon, still color. Starting is the hard part, so one foot in front of the other. If I really love something, I'm making it mine. For that good life, eating steak and drinking the wine. So if you think I'm still too old to be playing with rhymes, that's your opinion, I'm living one day at a time. If I really love something, I'm making it mine. For that good life, eating steak and drinking the wine. So if you think I'm still too old to be playing with rhymes, that's your opinion, I'm just living one day at a time.
When you have morphine in the hospital, you just push a button and then you get an infusion of gravy?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
All right.
That's exactly what I'm dreaming of.
Okay.
Take me to the hospital that you went to where they had that morphine button, please.
Take me to the river.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm doing the song.
Oh, drop me in the, or something in the water?
Yeah, drop gravy.
Drop me in the water.
Yeah.
Right?
Fill me full of gravy? I don't know.
Fill me full of gravy.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
It must be Thanksgiving.
Must be.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Oh, I really got him. I really got him on that Thanksgiving shit.
It's never.
He loves holidays.
It's never too early to wish somebody happy Thanksgiving.
No, not really.
I'd rather hear about Thanksgiving than fucking Christmas in the summertime. So at least you're.
Oh, really? What's that?
Because it already takes up so much fucking time, and it'll be here before we know it, and it already eclipses Thanksgiving, a very good holiday in my opinion. Yeah,
right. That's fair. That's fair.
I know it's like there's also another feast, but that's a feast with like festivity and stuff attached to it. Thanksgiving is just you cook a bomb-ass meal and you have people over and you have a good time.
Is that the Feast of Festivities?
Can be, yeah.
Which one were you referring to?
Well, I'm just saying, like, Christmas, yes, there's a feast, but then it's like, I don't know, there's all this other work attached to it.
Family, come join us at our house for Christmas feast.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if my family ever said that, I would have died.
A cooked goose for everyone.
Like, come, everyone.
Yeah.
Huzzah. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it is wonderful.
Now, you know what's funny is that, like, I'm trying to get to the point, and I'm getting there really quickly where I don't loathe the Christmas season.
Yeah.
Because it's not the Christmas the day that really gets me, it's that seasonal arc.
Yeah.
And the way it steps on my Hanukkah. Get off of Hanukkah! You don't have to throw to Hanukkah.
That's a Rolling Stones
Christmas bastard.
That's a Rolling Stones song, right? Hey, you get off my Hanukkah, or was that Clout? I don't know.
Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, first version was, of course, get off my Hanukkah.
Well, they had a separate holiday version. You know, it's like as they did back then.
Everybody did Hanukkah albums in the '60s.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
musical fun fact.
Real facts here on the council.
Yeah. How about that episode?
How about it?
Well, I'm glad that we're continuing to evolve the show, and we can get people from different genres of music in here, because I don't want to just be like, oh, hey, it's the long hair guy. He's got long hair rock and roll songwriter, singer people on here. No. Nay, do I say.
Not just that. Have we even had one of those?
No, this is our first hip-hop guest on the show. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
yeah, we've had people that have, I think...
Oh, Michael was a long-haired rocker.
Yeah. Well,
Michael was a long-haired rocker.
Well, I was going to say, you got a notepad? Write that down for...
It's in there already, man.
It's in there? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to just stick to one thing just because I know it well, which is kind of my mission in life. I want to have a wide variety of experiences and, you know, cultures. And
that's why I gave you that Kama Sutra book.
Yeah. Well, hey, being flexible.
I don't know who you're going to use it with.
You got to be flexible in life.
You got to figure out who to use it with and which ones you can do.
Yeah, you got to be you know, willing to try new things in life. So, you know, thank you for the book. Thank you for musical recommendations. Thank you
I can't use it. You know, I broke everything. Broke every bone in my pelvis.
Yeah, in an unfortunate suture accident.
Let's not talk about it. But yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's a good medical sutra pun, but I'm gonna leave that for somebody else.
Sutures.
Yeah.
All along the chasm.
Yeah. Oh my.
The crossroads.
That's for a separate medical podcast that we'll come out with one day for all of our, you know, sort of exploits in that area.
Sonic Doctor Council.
Yeah, Sonic City Medical Board.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, Sonic City Hospital Advisory Committee.
Sonic City Hospital?
Yeah.
Sonic City Hospital.
Yeah.
That's our spin-off, like, drama cast.
Yeah, well, hey, we've got the video component, so maybe this will be sort of like a children's hospital Days of Our Lives sort of vibe. Where
yes!
Like, yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes, King.
Yeah.
Yes! Yes, rock and roll king. Yes!
I was going to say, I'm glad that you validate my crazy ideas, my attorney of mine, co-host.
I'm just a crazy attorney with a rubber stamp. I'm here to fight for you.
Yeah, eventually one of these ideas you'll get 15% of at one point, and it's just like, yes, let's rubber stamp this. Let's cast a wide net and see what sticks.
I was like, if you're willing to sign for this, I'm saying yes to it too. Oh yeah.
Well, citizens, as you can see, we're getting quite delirious, so we have to get out of here. Thank you again to Cleen for coming on here. And thank you for bringing some world premiere brand new music that was never heard outside of this podcast before.
So new.
So new. And if you want to check out more of his music, hit the description above or below. Please feel free to like our page, give us a share, follow us, let us know who you want to see on this podcast. We appreciate you very much for your feedback, fellow citizens. So, yeah.
You're adorable. From all the way over here, I chomp on you, chomp, chomp, chomp. You're just like little krill, and I'm just a big old whale, and I'm chomping on you with love. And do what he said, all of the things. What he said.
We'll see you next week, citizens.
Cha-cha-cha.
Sonic City Council was created by Jesse Davidson and Davey Sipes and engineered by Max Taylor at Desert Sound Studio in Palmdale, California. Thank you to Disaster Cabinet for the outro music. Intro music written by Max Taylor. Sonic City Council is produced in association with Amps Music Academy and the Showcase Venue. For more information, visit theshowcasevenue.com.